Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news and updates that are happening right here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of some of the hot topics that will be discussed at the upcoming Common Council meeting. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's always great to have you. We're going to go ahead and get right into the hot topics for the first half of the show today. We're going to take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, October 9th, 2018. So, Mark, the first thing that we want to kind of just highlight here in the beginning of the show is South Park. We've been talking a lot about it over the past year. It's been quite a project, redoing the lagoons and a lot of other park improvements going out there. And today was kind of the unofficial cap to the project.
Probably the unofficial finish of
Yes.
the project, yeah. The fountains at
Yes.
South Park are finally back on, so we're really excited about that, and I think it symbolizes that the project is complete. So
Yes.
I was real happy that Oshkosh Media was out there and was able to take a look at what it looked like when the fountains finally spouted up again.
Yes, it's beautiful out there. It catches your eye when you drive by South Park, and you can definitely see a difference with the new Outlook area, dock situation that they have. The paths are beautiful, and now all they need to do is wait for the vegetation to grow in around the lagoon area.
I still consider it finished because that takes a little time.
Right.
But that'll certainly help stabilize the surroundings of the pond and eliminate erosion potential that's out there. So real happy to see that the fountains are all up and running. It's a little chilly right now, but the weather's still nice. So if you get a chance to go out there and view it yourself, you'll be able to enjoy it.
So we thank everyone for their patience as that whole project took place over the last year. And we, like you said, encourage everybody to get out there and enjoy South Park while the season still allows it. So with that, we're going to move on to the next item that we want to discuss, Mark, and that is the Rental Housing Advisory Board did hold a special meeting earlier this week, and they are discussing some changes that are taking place to the rental housing inspections program. Now, the state law has changed, and so some other changes need to take place to be able to be in compliance with that. So I guess maybe give us a little bit of an overview of how the meeting went and what the turnout was like.
It seems like it went very well. There was a good combination of tenants and landlords that were there to provide input. The state laws changed, so we have to modify what the program is going to look like. There's certain rules, regulations we need to follow that have been changed. But I think now they've really got it narrowed down to about 3 different options, and it's sort of a continuum of things that the council may want to consider. Will they just do on a request or complaint basis, or go as far as maybe even going beyond rental housing? Do they treat single-family homes the same as rental homes? And that's really going to be council's decision. So the Rental Housing Advisory Board really wanted to make sure that the different options were spelled out and understood by everyone. And we got some good input, and I think the Rental Housing Board is going to take that all back and sort it out and then make a final recommendation to the council on where they think the next phase of the ordinance will go. And then the council will approve that and we'll move forward. We're anticipating it'll probably be in 2019.
Definitely. And the meeting was a public input meeting, like you said. If you weren't able to make it to the meeting, there was also a presentation. Oshkosh Media did cover that, so it is on our website if you're interested in viewing that, learning a little bit more about those different options. But if you're still wanting to give your input on the issue, there is a PULCO question that is currently open on the City of Oshkosh's PULCO page, and we highly encourage you to get onto that page and give your input. There's a lot of great information on that page with the background on the program as well as what these 3 different options would mean. So we definitely encourage people to get out there and vote on the PULCO question. We open until the 9th, which is the day, I believe, before the Rental Housing Advisory Board meets. So we're grateful to the public for all the input that they give on these items, and we look forward to the recommendation that they make for council. Moving down, we've got another kind of a fun little update. If you've been downtown Oshkosh at all recently, you have to have noticed that there is a mural being painted on the side of the building that New Moon is housed in. So it's a very exciting time here in downtown Oshkosh.
Right on Algoma Boulevard near Opera House Square. Here's the work that was still in progress at that time, but it's part of our new mural ordinance that was adopted by the council, and our Public Art and Beautification Committee takes a look at these things and approves them. And this just tells a little bit of the history of Oshkosh. And we're real excited that this is the first one that's done under our new mural ordinance. So Leif Larson is the local artist that put it together, and it's a tribute to music in Oshkosh. And I think with New Moon, they do a lot of little live entertainment there. So I think that was very in keeping with what they do, as well as the history of Oshkosh as far as music's concerned. So real excited that we're able to just give a slice of what Oshkosh culture is through murals that are on buildings in our downtown area.
Yes, we love it. We're really excited to see the finished product. I think it's just about finished now, so next week I think it'll probably be complete. And we look forward to seeing future murals that will take place as we move along. So congratulations to New Moon on their new mural. A little update that we want to give here on City Manager's report today is that leaf collection is beginning in a couple weeks on October 15th. So we want to make sure that residents are aware that they can put loose leaves out on the terrace on the day after their garbage collection day. So for example, if your garbage and recycling is collected on Monday, you would have your leaf collection take place on Tuesday. And as always, we've got a few other little reminders that we always like to tell people not to do.
Yeah, we obviously we don't want people to rake them out into the street. That's been a danger in the past, and we'll keep plugging this along because it'll continue through just before Thanksgiving. Sometimes we extend it, but we don't want to promise anything because we get a snowfall and all bets are off. But the idea is that we want to get the leaf collection. We know sometimes the leaves are a little lazy and don't want to fall, and there's always one tree in your yard that waits until the last minute, and I've had that experience, so I know that's the case. But if you want to get them out there, that's great. And we have other things to do once the leaf collection season's over. But day after garbage, and if you're Friday, you go to Monday, so you'll be okay. You'll be able to get your leaves taken care of that way. So you don't need to shake your trees just yet. Just let them fall naturally.
Right, and all the information is on the city website too. If you're curious about other, yard waste and things like that, all that's located right on the city website. If you go under the Public Works page, and on the homepage, we'll have something there for you too. So October 15th, leaf collection, and fall has officially come upon us.
Yes, yeah. Some people love it, some people don't. So it's fall. Just deal with it.
Well, one of the positive things about fall being here is construction season is coming slowly to an end. But however, we still are in the midst of some pretty big projects here in Oshkosh. So one of those projects that we're going to kind of go through a few updates here. First one being the North Main closure. That's going to be happening next week, Monday. And it's going to be up to 10 weeks, we heard.
Yeah, it could be as long as 10 weeks. This is part of the Libby Nicolay pond that's being done just off of North Main Street. So from Libby to Packer Street, it's going to be closed. We're actually putting the storm sewer outlet there that'll be coming from that detention basin to get the water eventually over to the channels to Lake Winnebago. So it starts Monday, October 8th. We're not putting a final date of completion. The contractor does have a window in which they can get that done. So start looking for it on the 8th. And we'll keep you posted on CMR and through social media and other channels about when we see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as when the street will be opened again.
Definitely. And like you said, detours will be posted, and just be cautious when you're coming up on that one. Moving down, something that is in full swing right now, and that is the Oshkosh Avenue closure. And it's not exactly a convenient closure to be dealing with, especially this time of year with school and everything. But how's that been going, Mark?
Well, it has its challenges because this is a very well-traveled area. But it's Oshkosh Avenue, and there are big holes in the ground at Pinoqua and Fox, and so that creates some disruption. The folks in the neighborhood immediately around there need to negotiate their way around. So really avoid that if at all possible, so that the local neighbors can really get around a little better. We do have a detour route set up from Keller and Witzel and Sawyer. And so look for those signs and everything. But I would also say your locals, you're smarter than the detour routes we lay out. If you know additional routes to take to go there to get around that area, by all means use them. I know Witzel's pretty busy during the morning and evening rush hours, so be patient. It'll happen. It'll take place. Some folks may want to take 9th or 20th if they so choose to kind of avoid the congestion on Witzel. But everybody knows their way around town. Just make use of it. But please be aware that this is going to be a few more weeks.
Sure. And we thank everybody for their patience with this project as well as the Oregon project. Talk about patience. This is still moving along here. What's the latest on what's been happening on Oregon?
Well, right now, everything is wide open all the way from the bridge south to 16th, or excuse me, South Park. South Park to 16th is what's still closed up. We're working on that. It's on schedule and everything. We're real pleased in that. And the intersection over at 9th is completely open, so that's not an issue anymore. And South Park, there's a little bit of still a little inconvenience there because south of it is still under construction. So we're on schedule for mid-November completion. I always say it'll be done before deer hunting season. The contractors want to go deer hunting just like everybody else. So we'll get that done. And this has been a long project, and the businesses have been there very patient. So, if you've got a business that you've gone to on Oregon Street, maybe you steered away from it, shame on you, but go back. They've been wonderful. I've visited several of the businesses during the project, and I know they appreciate it. So show them a little love and get back there and talk to them.
Definitely. And then the last one, Mark, that we want to touch on here is Washington Avenue. What's the update on how that project's been going? Again,
that's going well. I can tell you that a lot of that part of Washington, the utilities are all done. Now it's a matter of putting together the street. So I was just over there today checking some things out, and they're grading the street, getting the stone put down, and then they'll set up the forms for the concrete, and then the concrete will get poured. So we're doing well, real pleased with that. So it'll be a few more weeks, a little bit of patience always pays off, but it's going to look wonderful.
It'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, and and I've gone to some events at the new Howard, and they're very patient. We appreciate their patience. The Y, if you're a patron of the Y, you've probably noticed that as well. The library, a lot of other buildings up and down there. So thanks everybody for their patience, but there is light at the end of this tunnel, and it's only a few more weeks, so just hang in there a little more.
So that concludes our construction update portion of the show today, and as well as the first half. So now it's that time of the show where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening here in the city of Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the question mark question is this week. Now, Mark, I said we were done talking about construction, but this is a great segue.
Yes, you did. You said we were done, but we're not.
We're not. The question is, why wasn't Oregon Street from 6th to 8th Avenue finished like the rest of Oregon Street? It's a great question.
It's a great, and I think the expectation was that it was going to be done. We have to dial back a little bit, rewind a little bit in terms of, to recall, the state deferred a decision on what to do with the Oregon Street Bridge last year. And our scope of project had already been put together, and the idea was that 6th to 8th was going to be done when the bridge was redone. And that is still the case, but now the bridge isn't going to get done until probably 2026. So once we knew that we were going to need to do something, but we needed to get the Oregon Street project, the one that was officially done from 8th to the south, we need to get that out of the way. And it's really just a patch, because for us to spend money to completely redo the street, I guarantee you within 8 years that road would be torn up. And I know taxpayers complain, rightfully so, why do you tear up a street a few years after you build it? So the idea is just to get the driving lanes done. It's not super pretty, and I can't apologize for that. It's just that we don't want to spend a lot of money knowing full well that we're going to be tearing it up in a few years, and when the bridge is redone, that section will be completely done. We've got utilities underneath there that need to get done, so obviously we didn't want to tear it up. And the bridge landing, however the bridge gets designed, which at this point the state's not going to make that decision until 2022 at the earliest. So we still got a ways to go. So I appreciate that people noticed and were concerned that we weren't thinking about it. We were thinking about it the whole time. We didn't want to include this part in that contract also because the rest of Oregon Street's primarily concrete, and so this is really just asphalt. Our own street crews did this work, and it's a patch job, and just bear with us. We'll get it right when we tear up everything, or when the state tears up everything, most likely in 2026. 8 years, so that's about an 8-year patch.
And for now, we've got a smoother ride at least, so we're happy to have that patched in the meantime, and grateful for a wonderful answer to this question, Mark. So thanks again to the person on Facebook, I believe, that sent us this question. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, you can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh. You can post it to our Facebook wall, or you can email it to us, and Mark will answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights of the Common Council meeting agenda for next week. We'll be right back.
I'm going to bring it.
Bring it.
Raila.
Bring it.
We are going to bring it.
Bring it.
This election.
This election,
This election,
I'm
going to bring it.
going to bring it.
Bring it.
Bring it to the ballot.
Bring it to the ballot.
Now you need to show a photo ID, like a Wisconsin driver license, passport, or Wisconsin state ID card, before casting your ballot in the next election. Find out whether your ID will work at bringit.wisconsin.gov. And don't forget to bring your ID to the ballot.
Explore the riches of prehistoric and early life that spans 13,000 years in the new People of the Waters exhibition at the Oshkosh Public Museum. Discover how the Ice Age transformed the landscape. Experience living in a full-size recreated longhouse. Uncover the past and learn the secrets of the fur trade. People of the Waters, a new interactive exhibition at the Oshkosh Public Museum. Discover more at oshkoshmuseum.org.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us here on GovTV. We're in the second half of the show here, and now that means it's time to take a look at the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, October 9th, 2018. So, Mark, the first thing that we want to discuss here prior to the meeting will be a workshop at 5 o'clock on the Industrial Park land and marketing. So, tell us a little bit about what this is and what we'll be hearing at this workshop.
For 2018, the City Council gave me a goal of taking a look at ways in which we can better market and promote our industrial parks. We've got a good deal of land that, quite frankly, we haven't sold a lot in the last 10 years. And the council wanted to make sure that we were taking efforts to make sure that property was sold. The graphic you see here is really just a description or a location of all of the city-owned industrial and business parks throughout the city. So it gives you an idea of where they are. Some of them have certain strengths and qualities that we like to highlight, and each of them are different in that regard. So part of it is our friends from GoEDC will be there to talk about what they do to help market the park. We work very closely with the state WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. We work closely with New North, and we respond to a great deal of inquiries about that. But our biggest effort is really about the staple of economic development, and that is working with your local businesses on business retention and expansion. 80% of our economic development comes from within. So it's very important that we work closely with our existing businesses so that if they have opportunities to expand, we want to make sure that they expand right here in Oshkosh, and this land is available to them, and we want to make sure that they know that. And so that's what we're going to be talking about, and just so council is aware that what our efforts are and what they're going to be for the future.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like a lot of really great things going to be discussed at this meeting, and we look forward to listening in. We will be covering those on GovTV Tuesday, October 9th at 5 p.m. Moving down under consent agenda items, we've got an item which is approving the agreement with T-Mobile for the cellular antenna installation on our new Marion Road water tower. And this is kind of an interesting one because when you look at the water tower, you always notice those antennas up there. You're never quite sure what they're for.
Yeah, well, this time we actually hit them with this version because we've got that, what everybody calls the hat that's on top of the water tower. So cleverly hidden behind that hat on top of the water tower are a lot of antennas that we use to monitor our water system, but also the cell phone companies contract with us to place antennas on top of all of our towers. And just a little fun fact that in the agenda it says it's $27,600 annually that's paid, and this is just by T-Mobile. That doesn't include some of the other ones like Verizon and whatnot. And those are on all of our water towers. So not everybody's aware of that, but we do make a little bit of money to provide that service, and we wanted the public to be aware of it.
It's very interesting. So that's the only item that we have on our consent agenda. Moving down under new ordinances, we've got the Oregon Street parking regulations between 8th Avenue and 16th Avenue. So tell us about this issue, how it's been evolving, and what's going to be happening here.
Well, obviously there were some concerns expressed when we, as we painted the lines there, that it took away much more parking spaces than we had originally anticipated. But after we met with the residents and the property owners and explained some of the parking that is available off-street, between 8th and 9th, as you see here on the graphic, there's only one spot on each side of the street. There used to be 4 on each side of the street. So there were a total of 8. Now there's 1, and it's really kind of like 1.5. And we met with those folks, and they were very helpful in just expressing their concerns. And we knew that was not going to be satisfactory to them. So even though the Traffic Advisory Board has recommended that we don't make any changes, I think the council took a look at it and listened to the neighbors, and they asked us to work with them. And I'm happy to say Jim Collins, our Transportation Director, Steve Godey, our Assistant Public Works Director, have identified a way to add 2 more back on each side. So really to be a net loss of 2, 1 on each side of the street. We think that's an appropriate compromise, and that's what we're bringing forward to the council. And I think that's probably a good compromise that everybody can live with.
Definitely. Well, we're glad to see that took place and that the spots were redeemed. And now, like you said, only losing about 1 spot on each side is a great update. Moving down under new resolution, we've got approve the Third Amendment to the Tax Incremental District number 31 Development Agreement with Fox Valley Pro Basketball, Inc. So tell us what this is and what we're going to be expecting with this agreement.
Well, this has been an issue that we've been working with Fox Valley Pro Basketball for a while. This really is getting us back to what we've done with a lot of other TIF agreements. Fox Valley Pro Basketball didn't anticipate they were going to need certain things, and so we didn't include it in their project originally. But all they're asking for is the ability to, part of our pay-as-you-go TIF is that we will make annual payments to them provided they provide certain performance. And they would like to sell that off and essentially what's called monetizing that and get some capital up front, which will enable them to lower their amount for a first mortgage. And so they wanted permission to be able to do a mortgage, and they want to be able to sell off part of their TIF cash flow. And so that's not unusual, but we didn't include it in the agreement. Now we've got that all worked out, and that's taken several months to go through and everything. It's got to be just right they've got a lot of people they're working with. This is a very complex project. There aren't a lot of arenas that are financed in Wisconsin. We've got 2. We've got the one down in Milwaukee and the one here in Oshkosh. So it's a little different, but they've been working very diligently to get this done, and now it's all tied up and ready to go.
So after this agreement, can we look forward to any additional agreements that are going to be taking place in the future like this?
Unfortunately, yes. We had hoped that we were going to get it all taken care of, but at the 11th hour, the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, has put in some new regulations about a compound that was previously not regulated. So we own the land still underneath the arena, and the idea has always been to turn it over to Fox Valley Pro Basketball. With this compound that they now want us to track, that's going to create a little bit of a problem in transferring it because the DNR isn't ready to give what's called an exemption to Fox Valley Pro Basketball, or that to us that we would pass on to Fox Valley Pro Basketball. And until we get that all worked out, it's a compound that they're concerned about being in groundwater. we don't use groundwater in Oshkosh. We use surface water. We're an urban area, so we don't really think it applies to us. And rather than burden Fox Valley Pro Basketball with some uncertain regulations, we agreed that we would put that off, let them get their financing finalized, and then we'll deal with this environmental issue later. Eventually, we'll transfer the property over to them, but out of respect for them and the process that they've had to deal with the DNR, we want to make sure that that's all taken care of. So give us a little more time, but we're probably going to bring back one more amendment to this agreement.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the update on that, Mark. Moving down, we've got a couple of future workshops that we want to talk about. First ones are the budget workshops coming up on October 29th and 30th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on both days. Now, these are the big budget workshops.
This is all day. Council takes days off from their regular jobs to meet with all the department heads, talk about their operating budget and their capital improvement budget. So that's a long marathon session. If you want to watch, please tune in to GovTV, but it's a long day. It's going to be a long day for us and a long day for viewers.
Yes, and we will be there all day covering that live, and it'll also be available after the fact as well. And then also we've got a budget hearing happening on November 7th at 5, and this is going to be a joint meeting, actually, right?
Well, first of all, the hearing on the budget, the public input.
Right.
So the hearing will take place right at 5 o'clock. And immediately following the hearing, once everybody's had their say with the council, then the council will review the final capital improvements as well as discuss any changes they would like to make based on the public input they've received. And then also there's been discussions about potential for a vehicle registration fee, commonly known as a wheel tax, and the Long Range Finance Committee is going to be making some recommendations to them. They may want to consider that, but that's the normal day of Long Range Finance meeting, so it's going to be a joint meeting so they can share information with the council about what they're thinking about that, and we'll get more information on that later.
Excellent. And then moving down under city manager announcements and statements, we have a reminder that the City Hall meeting room scheduling is going to be changing during the elevator modernization project here at City Hall, and that's coming up pretty soon here.
We're doing the elevators beginning November 15th through the end of the year, so the elevators will be out of service for that period of time. So we're going to be moving some meetings around, and you'll be seeing that. We've actually gotten some modifications over to our safety building. That's where the council meetings are going to move in, most of the boards and commissions. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be talking more about that soon.
Excellent. Yes, and like Mark said, we'll be putting a lot more information about this on Facebook. So make sure you're following us because we'll be putting out updates both on that page and on the city website for this issue. Moving down, we've got early absentee voting coming up for the November election, and we highly encourage people to get going on this.
Oh, absolutely. If you can't make it to the polls on Election Day, you can absolutely come to City Hall and vote. Normal hours 8 to 4:30 on weekdays. The final day, November 2nd, will be 8 to 5 p.m. But we're also going to have October 27th, a Saturday. We're going to have some special hours. So if you've got a work schedule, you can't make it to City Hall, you work out of town, 9 to noon on October 27th. We're doing 3 weeks. Most cities do 2 weeks before the elections. We're doing 3 weeks because we want to encourage people to vote. And if you can't make it to Election Day, we want to make sure you still have your opportunity to vote. You can still vote online, by ordering online, or absentee ballot the old-fashioned way by mail and stuff like that. You can do all those, but early voting here is okay as well.
Yes, it's nice and convenient. So we encourage people to do that. And then once again, more information about voting, if you want to find your polling place and things like that, go ahead and visit our city website. And then finally, right before we close out, Mark, we've got a little bit of a teaser. We're going to be showing a brand new video that is meant to promote the city of Oshkosh at the council meeting. That'll be right at the end.
We've put together, you guys at Oshkosh Media put together some wonderful videos about just Welcome to Oshkosh, highlighting the 5 major components of our strategic plan. We'll be throwing out the first one at the council meeting, so you got to stay tuned and stay in tune to the council meeting. And we're going to do one at the next 5 over the next 5 weeks, next 5 council meetings, so everybody will get them. They'll be on our website soon if you just want to look at them that way.
Yes, we're very excited to formally unveil them, and maybe we'll give you a peek at them at the next City Managers Report episode as well. So with that, we are out of time here on CMR. So Mark, as always, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, October 9th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website, oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. And don't forget to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or go ahead and check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Once again, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, post it to our Facebook wall, or go ahead and email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So with that, thanks so much again for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.